Welcome to Real Money Talks, how to make money, manage money, and invest money. Your Real Money Talks host, Laurel Langmeyer, gets straight to the point about what it actually takes to make money and build lasting wealth in today's changing economic climate. If you're ready to get the financial results you've always dreamed of, keep listening. Real Money Talks is the right place for you. And now here's your host, Laurel Langmeyer.
Hi, this is Laurel. Welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks. I'm almost going to read from one of the most extraordinary books that I was ever taught from. 17 years old, I was given the book Think and Grow Rich. And it is a regular read. It is a pick it up when you need inspiration, motivation, a new level of thinking, and read a few pages. And today I want to talk to you about specialized knowledge. See, I think there's a lot of you who just, you contain such brilliance, and your brilliance needs to get to a book. A book is the new calling card. It's been a calling card for years. My last New York Times published book was in 2012 or in 2017. A lot of people say, why aren't you going again? Because I did a lot very quickly. In 6 years, I did 5 New York Times. It was one by one by one. Because there's this big machine called Amazon that came around and a whole bunch of people who said everybody needs a book. And now, when I was publishing books, maybe 300,000 books were published. Now over 3 million books are published. So it's not a game changer. It's not a distinction that you get to be, in those ranks. And to become a New York Times, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Becoming an Amazon bestseller, a lot of people do it. So I'm not going to have a book conversation today, but I wanted to give you some backdrop about books. I think all of you have knowledge. It needs to get into a book. I say that a book is your brains on paper. And even if you just record, talk, get interviewed, have all that work transcribed, 10,000 pages is going to give you about 120 to 140 pages. It's a book. Get it published through CreateSpace, go to Amazon, and just getting busy telling the world that you have specialized knowledge. And then using the other conversations and techniques and strategies that I talk about at Laurel's Real Money Talks, let's get you up and making money as fast as you can. But I want to talk specifically about how your knowledge can or cannot, I'm going to say will not, make you any money. See, there's two kinds of knowledge. One is just general and the other specialized. So general knowledge is like interesting. It comes in great quantity. It comes in great variety. And it's not used, if at all, in the accumulation of money. So the way that the universe works and the way that the process works is to really get specialized knowledge. If you look at the people who have made fortunes, it's with specialized knowledge, or it's with distinctions, disruptors. It's taking a concept or a category and blowing it completely out of the water. Tim Ferriss wrote, the 4-Hour Work Week? I mean, come on. How many people have ever really done it, really? But he disrupted the industry to say, do you have to work 40 hours or can you work 4? And what he taught most people in that book is how to leverage, how to delegate, how to find a team, and how to only do the few things that you have specialized knowledge in. So what is your specialized knowledge? I mean, knowledge is not going to attract money unless it's organized. I want you to write this down. Unless it's organized, unless it's intelligently directed, and through very practical plans of action, to the definitive end of the accumulation of money. So I'm reading straight out of Think and Grow Rich, chapter 5. So the lack of understanding of this is what the source of confusion is to many, 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 many people. When people say that knowledge is power, most people think, well, I'm just going to go read a whole bunch of general books. I mean, I used to be one of them. Right now I'm sitting in my beautiful home in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And I can just look up at my second floor, which is through this beautiful glass, ceiling and walls. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bookshelves. And then I have 2 that have more pictures on them than books. But so there's still some books over there. One day I'm going to have to dedicate all these books and just have, Laurel's library in its formal fashion because I have quite the library. I'm saying that because that was general and I didn't know what it really meant to have specialized knowledge. See, general knowledge you can all get. And knowledge is only power when you direct it. So again, when you organize it, so you organize what your knowledge is. So when I created the Millionaire Maker system, for example, that was very organized knowledge. I went and studied millionaires and studied millionaires. I worked at a bank, for God's sakes, for like $17 an hour because it was the only way that I could get into the system. And granted, I was 19 and 20 at that time. I was so absolutely determined to figure out why so few people became millionaires. It can't be that hard. And what you come to find out is that in 1913, when the Federal Reserve was born, and then through the next 20-year period, very, very select groups of about what's now 5 families in complete world power control it. That's just how the game began. And so it was, well, a whole bunch of these people need some organization. And this is called the founding of, not only America, but a lot of great nations. And the founding of the educational system came out of that. The founding of the financial systems came out of it. It was very organized, very specialized, very direct to the accumulation of wealth. So all that being said, like we're still operating in this follow along world. And I'm just telling you, you all have specialized knowledge. You can do something extremely distinctively different to create a very different life and world for yourself. And I'm going to use a lot more examples as we go into this. So organize your knowledge. Millionaire Maker. That's just organized knowledge. That's nothing new I made up. I read and read and read, and I learned about all the families. I've read, from Rockefeller to the Rochester family to the Morgan Stanley family. I mean, there's a pattern. And I just think that I've boiled down to a simple formula. You make money, you keep money, you invest money, you do it with the team. And then there's some real deep strategies in there. And the biggest one is where, I put it together in a very intellectually directed formula, which is when you make money, you have to invest it at the same time and have the plan in place. So it's organized, it's intelligently directed, and has a certain plan and has certain practical plans to it. So there's a blueprint. So I do want to use my Millionaire Maker book because it is exactly what I did when I had knowledge. I had general knowledge of how to make money, but I had it very, very directed into specialized knowledge, into a system, what I call an infinity matrix system. Make money, keep money, invest money with the team. Now, the subsets of that conversation, like I said, are extremely, extremely strategic. But the thing I want you to get is that I took something that is a general broad topic and I made steps to it. I directed it. I made plans, what I call blueprints in my Millionaire Maker book. I made a game that you can actually practice, and get good at it. So all of that, I've been doing it for 20 years. People say, why don't you update it? Because the Millionaire Maker system is the same Millionaire Maker system that was in the 1900s and the 1800s and how you become wealthy. See, the missing link of most systems, of most, education systems and the Institute is the failure to teach people how to organize what they're specialized in. So our whole school system is designed to keep you general. Let's do a little bit of general work in the United States history. Let's do a little general work in math. Let's do a little general work in whatever. And then, after 12 years of conditioning you in, what they call core curriculum, then let's go build a job around the one thing that you might be better at. See, an educated person doesn't do that. A lot of educated, people that have specialized knowledge, they may not even go to formal education. I mean, Gates dropped out. I mean, I think he went back eventually. Jobs dropped out. I'm not saying drop out, but if you look at the wealthiest people, were they formally educated? Because a lot of that structure does not lead to creativity and does not lead to any sort of financial gain or what you really need in the world. Another concept that I want to talk about as we dig deeper into Think and Grow Rich, and I'd love for you to just, run out to Amazon and grab the book if you don't have it. The ones that I have were handed down from really the Carnegie family and the Napoleon Hill family. I don't even know, probably 20 sets of these books around here. And just dig in, go to chapter 5. Let's talk about the purchase of knowledge. So as I just said, the school systems have very general, very outdated core curriculum. You're not going to get anywhere with any of that. Millionaires find their way to specialized knowledge. And one of the areas I want to lead you to is, how do you purchase knowledge and how do you pay to purchase knowledge? And a few steps that I want to give you that's, again, from the book itself is find people who have the experience you want, not necessarily the education you want. So that's kind of number one. Look for the people who have the experience. You say, well, how do I do that? Well, you're going to find people who have the result you want. So how I find and purchase is through very, very strategic mentors. And many of my mentors I've not had to pay because they're not formal mentors. They don't do it for work. They don't do it for a job. Like I will actually pick up some mentors that are just absolutely in the streets. I mean, boots on the ground, doing extraordinary work. And I'll ask them to mentor me, and they'll be like, "What are you doing? Like, what do you?" They look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. And I said, we don't even do that. Like we do the work. We're building, land development, processes. We're pulling gas and oil out of the ground. We're the ones doing what we need to do, not sitting on the sidelines. So look for the experience and look for the results in the people that you have. Every once in a while, I'll take someone on. I won't have them pay me because I want them to be on the team. I know I can craft their specialized knowledge. They'll do exactly what I say. And it just adds to the bigger game that I'm playing. Again, mastermind alliances. How can you purchase into masterminds or create them? Which means find the minds, not like minds from the standpoint they all want to accumulate wealth and, control and power and knowledge, but like minds that have very diverse backgrounds. So a perfect mastermind for me are people who have diverse income levels and asset and accumulation wealth levels, different experience levels, different international levels, different technology levels, and they're of different age and generational gaps. You can purchase information through colleges and universities. And when I say that, I want you just to consider, and I met a woman just recently who did this. It was so brilliant. Because it's pretty unknown to do this, is just go to a college or university curriculum and just pick the classes you want. Not in service of I'm going to go get a degree. I want to learn about that. I want to learn about that. I want to learn about one or two things, and that's all I want. Another experience I had, as I shared with you earlier in this podcast, where I went to a bank for $17 an hour. There was a marketing gentleman in San Francisco way back in the day when I was, building into being a financial coach and realizing that marketing was a huge piece, and creative marketing for strategy, so I could bring it into my clients' work, was just critical. And he had very unique stuff. And he would not have lunch. He wouldn't collaborate. He wouldn't let me hire him. He's the only way to understand what it is I do, because I don't know what I do. I just do it. And by the way, very wealthy people are like that. Many times dyslexic, many times high IQ, and seemingly interesting to be with. I'll say that. And so he said, the only way to do that is to work for me. And you don't have a lot of the skills that I need, or technical skills that I need. And I said, well, do you need a personal assistant? And he said, a personal assistant? I said, well, I see you running errands and you're doing things that you don't need to be doing. And he said, well, what would you charge me for that? I said, $15 an hour. And I knew in my mind that I was going to go work for him. And I only worked 15 hours a week for $15 an hour. And I did it for 90 days. And I got so inside that company, and I saw what I needed to see, because I went for an intentional, specialized knowledge purchase experience. Now, in that case, I got paid a little money, but it was still a funny little story. Your favorite, online, in the book, it says public libraries, but we know that all exists on Google, that exists in the world technologically. So absolutely, just go look stuff up. But here's the challenge is you've got credibility issues, you've got quality issues, you've got quantity issues. I mean, the volumes of content are enormous. So then let's go to the next level, I would call it, of specialized knowledge, and how do you sort through it? Again, I go back to number one, the experience and the results that you want have a pathway to them. So I want you to become directive in your pathways. I want you to see how one thing connected to the next thing, and what caused the result to occur. What caused the result to occur. Now, Buckminster Fuller has extraordinary books on this level of thinking. And if some of you are lost already, it's okay. This is what's seeming to be a simple podcast, but finding the specialized knowledge and finding the specialized people with the experience that cause the result, that cause your bank account to change, is a very, very distinctive and lifetime journey of saying, I want to find very different people. Now, the other thing is there's specialty training courses, and there's specialty, things like that. But the other thing I want to speak to that I think has just been profoundly different for me is, as I shared, getting in different camps, from the banker to the marketing person, seeking the people that have those results. But going there I think the thing that I probably have done differently is I go on field trips, I call them. So I field trip out to meet the people. I just don't stay, geographically targeted. I go meet the people that had the gold mine in South Africa. I have met people who have diamond mines in South Africa. I have met people who, I go out on offshore oil rigs. Now, I had the opportunity of doing that in my younger career with Chevron, but I go to the places, I experience the people, I see the trajectory of how they accumulated their wealth, where it all lines up from the direction to the organization to the implementation of the plan. So my gift, I think, for you today is to get beyond the general, I know a lot of stuff, and get really, really clear about the thing that you want to know, that you want to cause direction to, that's going to cause changes in the world, and get really, really clear. So this links back at some level to my game changer conversation, which any of these gifts and a lot of the podcasts that I have, we do have downloads and gifts and different tools and things for you to use. And I want you to go to asklaurel.com/podcast gifts. And from podcast gifts, I want you to see the gifts I have and see the downloads and see the different guests I have. And many of them cross-correlate to each other. By the end of the first year of this podcast, there's going to be so many genius brains that have contributed to Laurel's Real Money Talks and to a real conversation to be a disruptor, to be a game changer, and to be in the world in a way that you get to live the way you want to live. I mean, my whole goal is to have you be financially different. And that means you have to make some very distinctive decisions. So if this has inspired you, motivated you, go to asklaurel.com, ask any question, give me your name, phone number, and email. And let's get really serious about this conversation and the changes on a daily basis that you need to make to cause your life and your world and your community to be more like the one you view versus the one you live in today. Have an extraordinary day, and I'll be back on Laurel's Real Money Talk soon.
Thank you for joining Laurel for this segment of Real Money Talks, how to make money, manage money, and invest money. To continue this new conversation and to find free resources to support your wealth creation, visit asklaurel.com/podcast gifts. That's ASKLORAL.com/podcast gifts. Thanks for listening and join us again soon. New episodes are released every week.